I guess I should start from the beginning like any good story. My name is Jake, and I was once a happily married man. At least, that's what I thought until everything crumbled around me. My wife, Lisa, and I had been together for almost 7 years, and everything seemed perfect on the surface. We had our ups and downs, of course, but what couple does? It wasn't until the signs started appearing that I realized our house of cards was about to collapse. Looking back, I can see the little things that should have clued me in. Lisa was a social butterfly, the life of every party. I always admired her energy, but lately she had been coming home late more often. At first, I brushed it off as work commitments or drinks with her friends. She had always been a bit of a late-night owl. But then it felt different. The excuses became too rehearsed and vague. "Oh, we just lost track of time," or "you know how things get at work." It was like she had this script she was following, and I was the fool reading along, thinking everything was fine. Then there was her phone. I'm not the type to go snooping, but she started being overly protective of it. Lisa would take it everywhere, even to the bathroom, and she would glare at me if I even glanced at it. It was all very strange, but I tried not to let my mind wander to dark places. Trust was the foundation of our relationship, right? Well, it turned out that foundation was built on sand. The turning point came one night when I was watching TV, feeling a little lonely. Lisa was supposed to be out with her friends, but something felt off. I decided to text her just to check in. No response. Then I called her, straight to voicemail. My gut churned, a knot tightening in my stomach. I thought about how many times she had come home late recently and how she always seemed slightly disheveled. The scent of somebody else's cologne on her clothes wafted through my mind. I decided to go for a drive, thinking I might catch up with her. Maybe I was overreacting, but I had to know. I drove to the bar where she often hung out, but she wasn't there. Few friends were, and they all looked surprised to see me. That's when I heard the name Josh tossed around in their conversation. I didn't think much of it until one of them mentioned how he was so great for Lisa. A pit formed in my stomach. I asked casually about him, and they told me he was a new guy at her workplace, friendly and charming. That's all I needed. I drove home, my heart racing and my mind racing even faster. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. When I got back, her phone was on the kitchen counter, buzzing with notifications. My heart leapt into my throat as I noticed it was a text from Josh. I didn't want to read it, but my hands moved on their own. The text was flirty, emojis and inside jokes I didn't understand. I felt like I was set on fire. There I was, in my own kitchen, feeling like the biggest fool. I didn't want to believe it, but I had to know for sure. Lisa came home about an hour later, and there was something different about her. She had that "I've been out having fun" glow, but I was done pretending. I confronted her, and the facade shattered like glass. "Who's Josh?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Her reaction was immediate, but it wasn't what I expected. She looked genuinely startled, and for a moment I thought maybe I had misread everything. But then came her excuse, a web of lies so intricate I almost believed her. "He's just a friend at work, Jake. You know how I get with my coworkers." Her voice was smooth, but I could hear the anxiety beneath it. I pushed harder and she backtracked, mixing in tales of harmless lunches and group talks. It felt like I was talking to a stranger, not the woman I loved. I could see the guilt flickering in her eyes. It hit me hard even then. If it was Josh, it was someone else. My heart sank and I felt like I was breathing underwater. The shock morphed into anger, but more than that, it was an ache that settled deep in my chest. I had to decide what to do next. Should I stay and fight for my marriage, or walk away from the life we built? Everything I knew felt like it was slipping away. The emotional roller coaster was just beginning. The days following the confrontation with Lisa were a blur of confusion and heartbreak. I wanted to believe her when she said it was just a friendship, but every time I looked at her, all I could see was betrayal. The laughter we shared felt hollow, and the love we built together seemed like a distant memory. I was caught in a whirlwind of emotions: anger, hurt, sadness. I tried to put on a brave face at work, but it was impossible to concentrate. I found myself staring out the window, lost in thought, replaying our conversation over and over in my head. Every lie she told cut deeper than any knife. I started to notice little things that I hadn't before: The way she would fidget with her phone when I was around, the way she would dismiss my questions as if they were an inconvenience. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to confront her again, to dig deeper and find the truth. I waited until after dinner when she was casually scrolling through her phone. I took a deep breath and said, "I need to know, Lisa, are you seeing someone else?" She looked up at me, her eyes wide. "What? Of course not, Jake. I told you it's just Josh." "Just Josh," I echoed, my voice filled with disbelief. "Why won't you just be honest with me? I can handle the truth, but lying is what's tearing us apart." For a moment, she seemed to consider it. But then she shook her head, her face morphing into that defensive mask she put on when she sensed I was about to dig too deep. "You're being paranoid. I can't believe you would accuse me of this. If you keep this up, you're going to push me away." Her words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I could feel my blood boiling. "So, you want me to just sit back and pretend everything's fine while you're texting some other guy? That's your solution?" She rolled her eyes, the frustration boiling over. "Jake, I'm not cheating on you. You're being ridiculous." I could see the anger flickering behind her eyes. It was as if she were more mad at me for asking questions than at herself for what she might be doing. I decided right then that I couldn't keep this up. I needed concrete proof, something to confirm my suspicions once and for all. The next day, I took a different approach. I didn't let Lisa know I was onto her, at least not yet. I started watching her closely. It was like being a detective. I noted her movements, the hours she spent at the office, and her late-night outings. I even enlisted help from a couple of my friends who were willing to tail her for me. They were skeptical at first, but I convinced them that this was about my sanity and the future of my marriage. As I dug deeper, pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. I found out that Josh wasn't just a harmless coworker. He was a junior at her company, new and eager to impress. My friends saw them together more than a few times, and it stung to hear bits of gossip, the flirtation, the laughter, and the way they were often caught stealing moments alone. The worst part, I realized Lisa was playing both sides. She would come home and act like everything was fine, while on the other end she was texting him, calling him, maybe even meeting up with him. I felt like a fool for trusting her, for being so blind to the signs. One evening I had enough. I set up a simple plan. I would confront her again, but this time I would have evidence. I waited until late in the evening when she was in the shower. I took her phone off the counter and quickly scrolled through her messages. My heart raced. There it was, an entire conversation with Josh filled with flirty texts, heart emojis, and plans to grab dinner together. I felt sick. When Lisa came out of the bathroom, I was sitting on the couch, her phone in my hand and the evidence displayed on the screen. "Care to explain this?" I asked, my voice steady but filled with simmering fury. Her face drained of color as she realized what I had found. The defensiveness melted away, replaced by something akin to panic. "Jake, I can explain," she stammered, her voice betraying her composure. "But you've been lying to me this whole time. How can you even think you could talk your way out of this?" I shot back, my heart racing, the betrayal weighing heavy in the room. She stood there, trapped in her own web of deceit. "I didn't mean for it to happen, I swear. It's just complicated, complicated," I echoed incredulously. "You think lying to me while flirting with another man is complicated. You've made it simple, you just didn't think I'd find out." Her shoulders slumped, the fight falling out of her. I could see the guilt etched across her face. For a moment I almost felt bad for her, almost, but I was done playing the victim. I needed clarity. As I waited for her to speak, I felt the weight of my own anger and hurt morphing into something more resolute. I realized that I wouldn't let her walk away from this unscathed. This was my life too, and I had every right to reclaim it. The confrontation had shattered the fragile illusion I had been holding onto. Lisa stood frozen, her expression a mix of anger and fear, and in that moment I felt more like a judge than a husband. I wanted to scream, to let it all out, but I also wanted to hear her side of the story, however twisted it might have been. "Jake," she finally said, her voice trembling, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you, it happened, we were just talking at first." "Just talking?" I shot back, incredulous. "You think this is just talking?" I gestured to her phone, to the messages that had stripped away any remnants of trust. "Who do you think you're fooling? You've been lying to me for months." She didn't answer, staring at the ground as if the floor would swallow her whole. I didn't want to hurt you, she mumbled. But you did, I replied, my voice low and steady. You made a choice, Lisa. You chose to hide this from me, to betray the trust we built over years. How could you do that? She looked up, tears welling in her eyes. I don't know, Jake, I just felt so alone. I thought you were drifting away and he was there, someone who listened. It was hard to hear her say that. I had been busy with work and life, but I thought we were in this together. So you went and found comfort in another man. What did you think that would accomplish? I thought it was harmless at first. I thought I could manage it, she said, desperation creeping into her voice. Manage it, I echoed, my frustration boiling over. You thought you could juggle a relationship with me and a fling with him. You're kidding, right? She shook her head and the tears began to flow. I didn't think it would go this far. I was stupid, okay? I didn't mean to hurt you, I just got caught up in it. There it was, the excuse I had half expected. I felt rage rise in me, but more than that, I felt the pain of betrayal seep deeper into my heart. You think being stupid is an excuse. You think I won't be devastated by this. You've shattered everything. I could see her starting to panic, and I realized I had to regain control of the situation. I took a deep breath and said, I need time to think, Lisa, I call. Keep doing this. Her face fell and she reached out to me. Please, Jake, we can fix this. I'll do anything. Anything. I said, bitterness creeping into my tone. What does that even mean? Trust is broken, Lisa. You've crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. I walked away, leaving her standing in the living room, tears streaming down her face. I needed space to process everything. I couldn't shake the image of her with Josh from my mind. I envisioned them laughing, sharing secrets, and perhaps even more. It made my stomach churn and I felt like I was suffocating. I spent the night tossing and turning, replaying every moment in my head. The memories of our happier times clashed violently with the reality of her betrayal. I thought about our wedding vows, the promises we made to one another. It felt like a cruel joke now. The next morning, I made a choice. I would need to confront the truth about our marriage and decide whether it was worth salvaging. I no longer wanted to be the fool. I called a close friend, Mike, who had always been there for me. We met up for coffee and I filled him in on everything. As I spoke, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. It was good to share my burden, to get it out in the open. Man, I'm so sorry, Mike said, shaking his head. That's rough. I can't believe she would do that to you. Neither can I replied, feeling a knot in my stomach. I just can't wrap my head around it. We were supposed to be in this together. Well, you deserve better, Mike said firmly. You need to think about what you want. There's no right or wrong answer here, but you need to look out for yourself. He was right, of course. I had been so focused on Lisa and what she wanted that I had lost sight of my own needs. I needed to stand up for myself, to reclaim my life. That night I returned home and found Lisa in the kitchen. She was making dinner, the scent of pasta wafting through the air. It was a normal scene, and yet it felt so out of place. Can we talk? She asked, looking hopeful. Sure, I replied, trying to keep my emotions in check. We sat down at the dining table, the atmosphere heavy with tension. I knew I had to lay my cards on the table. I've been thinking, I started, my voice steady. I don't think I can just forgive and forget. Trust isn't something that can be built overnight. Lisa nodded, her eyes pleading. I understand. I know I messed up and I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. Do you really think that's enough? I asked, my voice low. I can't just pretend this didn't happen. You need to understand the gravity of what you've done. This isn't just a mistake. You've made choices that hurt me. She sighed, looking defeated. I get that, Jake. I know it might take time, but I want to make it right. Do you really? I probed. What does that mean for you? More late-night phone calls with Josh, more lies? No, she exclaimed, her voice breaking. I want to move past this. I love you, Jake. I never wanted to hurt you. I just lost my way. There was a long silence, and I could see the desperation in her eyes. I didn't want to be the villain in this story, but I also couldn't ignore the betrayal that had shattered my heart. Lisa, I began slowly, I need to be honest. I don't know if I can trust you again. I need to think about what's best for me. Her face fell, and I could see the realization hit her. The road to recovery wouldn't be easy, and I couldn't pretend it would be. I had a long decision ahead of me, one that would determine the future of our marriage. The days blurred into a fog of uncertainty. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, teetering between love and betrayal. Every time I looked at Lisa, I felt a wave of anger and sadness wash over me. I wanted to scream, to throw things, but mostly I wanted to cry. Cry for the love I thought we had, for the trust that was now a shattered mirror. I spent hours alone, replaying the events in my mind. I remembered the way Lisa used to look at me, the little moments we shared that seemed to matter so much. Now those memories felt tainted, coated in a film of doubt. I couldn't escape the feeling that everything had been a facade, an elaborate act where I was the unwitting audience. Eventually, I decided I needed to take a step back from everything. I called up Mike again and told him I wanted to get away for a bit. I needed space to think and clear my head. He suggested a weekend trip to a cabin in the woods, away from the noise and distractions of everyday life. I jumped at the opportunity. The cabin was rustic and isolated, the perfect escape from my life back home. As I drove out there, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. I could breathe. I could think. Once I arrived, I took a long walk, the fresh air filling my lungs as I tried to process everything. The quiet of nature was a stark contrast to the chaos swirling in my mind. That evening, I sat on the porch, a beer in hand, watching the sunset unfold in a dazzling array of colors. It was beautiful, almost surreal, and yet all I could think about was Lisa. I wondered if she was at home, feeling guilty, or if she was still caught up in her lies. I felt anger bubbling beneath the surface again, but I pushed it down. I needed to be rational about this. I needed to think clearly. As night fell, I found myself sitting by the fire, the warmth radiating against the cool evening air. I reflected on what I wanted. Did I want to give Lisa another chance? Did I believe she could change? I didn't want to be the victim anymore. I wanted to reclaim my narrative. If I chose to confront her again, it had to be on my terms. After a night of restless sleep, I returned home, feeling a bit more centered but still uncertain about my next steps. Lisa was waiting for me, her eyes filled with anticipation and worry. She rushed to me, her arms wrapping around me tightly, and for a brief moment I felt comfort in her embrace. But then the memories flooded back and I pulled away, creating the distance we both needed. "I need to talk," I said, my voice steady. "Okay," she replied, her expression shifting to concern. I led her to the living room where we sat across from each other, the tension palpable. "I've had some time to think," I began, "and I need to be honest with you about where we stand." She nodded, her eyes wide and anxious. "I'm ready to listen." "I don't want to pretend that things can go back to normal," I said, my heart racing. "What you did, it broke me. I can't just sweep it under the rug and say it's okay. Trust is something that takes years to build, and you destroyed that in moments." "I know," she whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. "Do you understand what that means?" I asked, my voice harder. "It means that I need to know if you're willing to fight for us. I need to see real change, or I'll have to walk away." Her expression changed, and there was a flicker of hope in her eyes. "I want to fight for us, Jake. I will do whatever it takes to show you that I can be better, I swear." "Words are easy, Lisa," I replied. "I need actions. I need you to be transparent with me. No more secrets." "Okay," she said, nodding earnestly. "I can do that. Just give me a chance." I sighed, feeling a mix of resolve and fear. "I'll give you that chance, but I won't be waiting around indefinitely. I need to see effort, commitment. This isn't just about you anymore, it's about us." "I understand," she said, her voice steady. "I love you, Jake. I don't want to lose you." I wanted to believe her, but doubt still clung to my heart like a shadow. I felt the weight of our situation pressing down on us both. "I need time to process this, Lisa. If we're going to move forward, we need to have a plan. I won't rush into anything out of fear of being alone." We spent the rest of the evening discussing what that plan might look like. We talked about counseling, about being open with each other, about rebuilding trust. The conversation felt heavy, but there was a glimmer of hope buried beneath the pain. I felt like we were taking the first steps to reestablish our relationship, but there was still a long way to go. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself trying to balance skepticism with optimism. Lisa was making an effort, and I could see she was genuinely trying to rebuild what we had lost. She started being more open with her phone, leaving it out in the open instead of hiding it. She even suggested we go to couples therapy. a sign that she understood the seriousness of our situation. But the nagging doubt never fully left me. I would catch myself glancing at her texts, wondering if she was still in contact with Josh. I fought against that instinct, reminding myself that for now, things seemed to be better. However, the reminder of her betrayal was ever present. I couldn't shake the feeling that something would always be missing. The emotional scars were deep, and while I saw her efforts, I often wondered if it would ever be enough. Then came the day that changed everything again. I was at work trying to focus on my tasks when I received a text from an unknown number. My heart dropped as I opened it. The message read, "Hey Jake, you should know Lisa is still texting Josh, I've seen her." I felt my world tilt on its axis, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. The message felt like a punch to the gut. I stared at my phone, heart racing, mind racing even faster as 1,000 thoughts collided in my brain. Who was this person? Why were they reaching out to me? I felt my stomach churn as I considered the implications of what I just read. I needed to know the truth. I couldn't let this go unanswered. I quickly texted back, asking for more details. I felt desperate, like a man drowning and reaching for any lifeline. Whoever this person was, I needed to know if their claim had any merit. Minutes felt like hours as I waited for a response. My palms were sweaty and my heart thudded in my chest. I tried to focus on my work, but the thought of Lisa betraying my trust again consumed me. Finally, I received a reply, and it was as if I was staring into the abyss. "I've seen her texting him multiple times. I thought you should know. I wouldn't tell you if I didn't think you deserved to know the truth." Every word felt like a bullet piercing my heart. I was on a roller coaster of emotions, swinging between anger and despair. I typed a quick response, asking for more specifics, details about where and when. I needed to piece the puzzle together to confirm what I already feared. While I waited for the message, I decided I couldn't sit idly by. I had to confront Lisa again. I couldn't let this go without an explanation. I gathered my things, my mind racing, and drove home, each moment filled with anticipation and dread. When I arrived, I found Lisa sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She looked up as I walked in, her expression shifting from casual to concerned in an instant. "Jake, you look upset. What's wrong?" I didn't waste a moment. "I just got a text from someone who claims you've been in contact with Josh again." Her face fell as if I'd slapped her. "What? No, that can't be true. Don't deny it." I shouted, feeling the anger build inside me. "I need you to be honest with me, Lisa. I've already been through hell because of this, and I'm not going to let you drag me back into it. Jake, I promise, I haven't talked to him since we had that fight. You have to believe me." She was pleading, and I could see the panic in her eyes, but the fire of doubt blazed hotter in my chest. "What do you think I'm supposed to believe? You've already lied to me once. What's to stop you from doing it again? Please, I'm begging you, I'm trying to fix this." She cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Trying isn't enough. I need proof, Lisa. I need to know that you're not still playing both sides." I felt the weight of the world crashing down on me. I pulled my phone out and showed her the messages. "Someone reached out to me. They said they've seen you texting him multiple times. What do you have to say about that?" She read the messages, her expression a mix of horror and disbelief. I don't know who this person is, but I swear I haven't been in contact with him." "Then how do you explain this?" I pressed. "You're either lying or you're in way over your head." "I'm not lying," she shouted, her voice breaking. "I'm trying to make this work. I love you, Jake. I don't want to lose you." The emotional turmoil was suffocating. I felt like I was caught in a storm, and no matter how hard I tried to stay afloat, I was being pulled under. "You've already lost me, Lisa. You took my trust, and now I don't know if I can ever get it back. Please don't say that," she begged, stepping closer. "I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll cut him out entirely, I swear." "Words don't mean anything if your actions don't back them up," I replied, my voice cold. As we stood there, the silence grew heavy between us. I felt like we were two strangers standing on opposite sides of a chasm, and I wasn't sure how to bridge the gap. "I need to think," I finally said, my heart breaking as I spoke. "I can't make any decisions right now. But if I hear from that person again, or if I find any evidence that you're still in contact with him, I don't know if I can keep doing this." Her face fell, and I could see the realization that things had changed. The fight in her eyes was dimming. "You don't mean that," she whispered. I do, I replied firmly. You've given me no choice. I walked away, leaving her standing alone in the living room, tears streaming down her cheeks. It felt like a death sentence for our marriage. We were at a crossroads, and I had to choose the path that would either lead us to healing or to an inevitable end. That night I barely slept. I tossed and turned, replaying the events over and over in my mind. I thought about the love we once had, the laughter, the dreams we built together. But the betrayal was like a dark cloud overshadowing everything. The following day I received another message from the unknown number. My heart raced as I opened it, half expecting more revelations. Instead, it was an invitation to meet. We need to talk, I have more evidence. I was torn. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to walk away and let Lisa deal with the consequences of her actions. But the other part of me felt the urge to know. Maybe this would finally give me closure, or maybe it would just rip the wounds open further. I knew I had to make a choice, to confront the truth about Lisa once and for all, or to step back and let things play out on their own. I felt like I was standing at a precipice, and the decision I made would determine the future of my life. The message sat in front of me, pulsating like a beacon of truth I both craved and feared. I felt like a moth drawn to a flame, the desire to know the truth battling against the risk of burning myself in the process. After a sleepless night filled with doubt and anxiety, I made my decision. I would meet this unknown source. I had to know if Lisa was still lying. I replied to the message, agreeing to meet at a cafe in town. The place was bustling with people, the chatter and laughter contrasting sharply with the turmoil in my heart. I arrived early, my hands clammy as I fidgeted with my phone, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. When the person finally arrived, I was taken aback. It was a coworker of Lisa's, a woman named Sarah who I'd met briefly at a company event. She approached me cautiously, her expression serious. "Jake, thanks for meeting me," she said, glancing around as if she were afraid someone would overhear. "Just tell me what you know," I replied, urgency making my voice sharper than I intended. "Lisa and Josh have been texting again," she said firmly, and it felt like a knife plunging into my gut. "I've seen messages on her phone, flirty stuff. I wouldn't have said anything if I didn't think you deserved to know." I felt the world around me spin. "How do you know this?" I asked, trying to keep my composure. "We work closely together and he's been talking about her," she said, crossing her arms defensively. "I thought it was just harmless at first, but I didn't like the way he spoke about her. It felt disrespectful to you. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I pressed, frustration mixing with disbelief. "Honestly, I didn't think it was serious," she admitted. But then I saw them leaving together one night after work. They were too cozy for my comfort. Each word she spoke felt like a nail in the coffin of my marriage. I was reeling, trying to process the weight of her revelations. "So, this is ongoing?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She nodded, her expression softening. "I didn't want to get involved, but when I saw how much you care about her, I thought it was only right to let you know. You deserve the truth." I felt an overwhelming surge of emotions wash over me: anger, sadness, betrayal. "Thank you for telling me," I said, my voice trembling. "I need to think about this." I left the cafe, my mind racing. The reality was clear now. Lisa had been lying to me again. All the progress we'd made felt like a cruel joke. I had given her a chance to prove herself, and she had betrayed that trust yet again. When I got home, I found her sitting on the couch, the same spot where we'd had our last confrontation. She looked up when I walked in, her expression shifting from hope to confusion. "Hey, how was your meeting?" "Cut the crap, Lisa," I said, my voice taut with anger. "I know you've been in contact with Josh again." Her eyes widened in shock and I could see her heart drop. "What? No, who told you that? Does it matter?" I snapped. "You've lied to me before. Do you really think I'd believe you? Sarah saw you." "Sarah, why would she?" she stammered, panic rising in her voice. "Jake, please, you've got to believe me. I haven't been talking to him, I swear. No more lies." I shouted, feeling the frustration boil over. "You've had your chance. You chose to betray me again, and I won't sit here and pretend everything is okay. I'm done." I could see the despair wash over her face. "No, please, I love you. I want to fix this. You've broken my trust again and again. I can't keep doing this." I responded, my heart breaking with each word. "It's clear to me now that you don't respect our marriage or me." She fell silent, tears streaming down her cheeks. I felt no satisfaction in her pain. Instead, I felt an emptiness bloom inside me. "Jake," she began, but I cut her off. "No, Lisa, we can't keep going in circles. I need to take care of myself now." I paused, gathering my thoughts, knowing this was the hardest thing I would ever have to do. "I think it's best if we separate." The words hung heavy in the air, and I could see the realization settle in her eyes. "No, please don't say that. I can change. I'll do anything." "I've heard that before," I replied, my voice steady but filled with anguish. "I need to protect myself. I can't trust you anymore." I didn't wait for her response. I walked out of the living room, out of the house that had once felt like home. I felt like I was walking away from a part of myself, but I knew it was for the best. I had finally chosen to reclaim my life, free from the shackles of betrayal. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of emotions. I went to therapy to process everything, to heal. I began to rediscover who I was outside of my relationship with Lisa. I found solace in friends, hobbies, and self-care. It wasn't easy, but I slowly started to feel like myself again. Looking back now, I realized that I had to go through the pain to emerge stronger. Trust, once broken, can take a long time to rebuild, and sometimes it's too far gone to restore. I learned the importance of self-worth and the necessity of standing up for myself. If you're in a situation like mine, my advice is simple: prioritize your own well-being. Listen to your instincts and don't ignore the signs. You deserve a relationship built on trust and respect, not lies and deceit. It may feel lonely at times, but the journey to reclaiming your life is worth it. Trust me, you'll come out the other side stronger than ever.